I think it's important to remember that the simplest things in life are oftentimes what matters the most. So often we get caught up in trying to achieve big things and we get lost in that. There's no issue with trying to achieve big things. I say set your aim high. So, set your sights high up on something, that is, challenging enough for you, that will also bring you a lot of benefit and serve you and others in a big way. Yet at the same time, you don't want to lose really life itself, just the very simpleness of everything. Because you often hear accounts of people, I can't really think at the moment, but it's like, what do people miss the most, when their time is up or when their loved ones have passed away? What are the things that they miss most about life? When people are on their deathbed, what do they miss the most about life? What do they regret the most? And all this kind of stuff, it's usually just the simple things, It's usually, just spending time with your family, drinking a cup of tea, but I feel like so often, like, in this culture of productivity and shit, we get so caught up in that. And when the time comes to be when you're having a cup of tea with your mum or something, it's like, you're not fully there. You're like, okay, yeah, but after this, I got to go back to work, got to go back to work. Blah, 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 blah. And we all know this. Like, this is such a cliche to say, right? But how many of us actually are able to be fully present with those simple times, with those simple moments of just sipping your tea, or just feeling the sun on your face, or just like looking at a tree, or just like watching ants crawl along the grass, like these simple things where you stop and actually smell the flowers, like literally you just stop and smell the flowers, because there is nothing else to life really than just our sensory inputs. And anything that you achieve, any big thing that you achieve in life, what actually changes, what is actually different? You still just got your five senses, experiencing the same kind of five senses. Nothing really ever actually changes, not much. And so, think about this, like, what if you died, right? What if you died and then you came back and had a second chance, Most likely what you would be so grateful for is just the very existence of things, the very existence of very simple things like sunlight, like the taste of tea, like just the very simple act of breathing in and breathing out, the simple act of just placing your hands on your head and feeling your head, that you got a head, or just talking, I've got a voice. Just everything so simple that we take for granted. Or watching clouds in the sky, looking at views, simple things, like, this really is what life is about. And again, I'm not saying don't strive for the big kind of goals and shit you have in life. I think, that's important too. But in this culture, I feel like we definitely overlook the simpleness, the enjoyment of the simple. And this culture doesn't hold space as much as it could for these kinds of things, because it is such a culture around productivity and like, you know, you got to get things done, you got to be somebody, you got to do something. And again, like, there's a time and a place for that, but like, it's not everything, man. It's not everything. It can't be. And ultimately, like, this simpleness is where it's at, really. And we all know that. But we're afraid to really bask in this simpleness and like soak in it and like really stay in it for as long as we like, because this culture is like, well, yeah, you can stay in that, but you can't stay in that forever. You got to come back and do shit, you know. You got to be somebody, whatever. You know, it's like you're lazy if you're just sitting down looking at the grass, appreciating the sun or whatever, you know. And that's unfortunate, man. But you know, here we are, man, and I think we can change it, you know. Like, we are the people, man. Like, we are the people here and now, on this earth here and now. We are the ones, if we want change, we are the ones that are gonna make that change. And the way you're gonna change, the way things are gonna change is if you set by example, or one at a time, right? Like, each individual has the responsibility to be the change that they want to see in the world. And if every individual changes themselves, then that becomes a whole collective that is changed. And this is like one of the reasons why I think uploading these videos is a good idea, because here I am, man. I've got an audience. I'm talking to you, you know, like, we can change this if we want to. You know, you have power, you have a voice. You do have influence, you know. What you think is good and worthy is what is good and worthy. Even if the world doesn't see it as such, you have the power to bring that goodness into the world. You just have to find a way that feels authentic for you to bring it into the world. But yeah, you really have to like, kind of like, you know, you have to, you know, walk the talk, you know. And this is not always easy either, but simply because, you know, you're in a world that wants to pull you out of what is really true and what is really good, you know. And so to step outside the kind of collective perception, it's a lonely thing. And you're going against the grain. You're going against the natural flow of things. I mean, in a sense, you're going with the flow of things, but you're going against the flow of society. So yeah, here's some ideas. I think you just have to be honest with yourself about, like, where are you suffering? Where are you suffering? You know, how much are you suffering because you're doing, trying to act in the world so much, trying to make things happen so much? There's a lot of suffering that can come about from that, you know, rushing about. And also there's some suffering that can come from not doing anything either, you know, when you are just sitting down and doing nothing. You can suffer because of that as well. You can, you know, so it's just about finding what works for you in each moment, if that makes sense. And yeah, man, it is lonely, it is tough. Like, I remember in the past, this is where I oriented myself towards. This is all I tried to do. I realized, like right now in my life, I'm trying to build something. I'm trying to build a life. I'm trying to build more. I'm trying to do more and stuff, But in the past, I was very much oriented towards like, okay, there's this dissatisfaction for being here and now. There's this resistance to the here and now. I'm constantly thinking about other things, and why can't I appreciate the now? I saw this within myself in the past. And so I oriented myself towards, okay, how can I be content in every moment? How can I appreciate every moment? Because every moment is the only moment. So how can I appreciate now and not be dissatisfied by it? Why am I dissatisfied by it? And what I was doing. I was trying to figure out this, and trying to figure out, okay, why am I dissatisfied now? And how can I be content and appreciate this moment? And it is tough, it's lonely, because, when you are orienting yourself towards it in this way, and you are around other people, you're spending time with other people, when you have this orientation towards this, most people around you don't have this. They're constantly thinking about what they're going to do in the future, or they're thinking about what happened in the past, and they're gossiping about this and that, and about what's happening in mainstream culture and all this kind of stuff. And even like with people that you can be philosophical with, you're talking about philosophical shit or scientific shit or spiritual shit, like even these kinds of quote unquote deeper things, even that is just, talking around the moment, and it's missing the moment, it's just like none of that matters, man. Like, we're here and now, simple, sun on our face, blue sky, or maybe it's raining, but whatever it is, it's like, this is what's happening now. It doesn't really need to be spoken of. And I'm not saying don't fucking speak, don't converse, do that, but it's like, are you doing it without appreciating the moment, or are you speaking and conversing out of celebration of the moment, out of appreciation of the moment? Because there's a difference. You can still talk about the past and the future and all this kind of stuff, and still be grounded in the moment, still appreciate that the conversation is happening now, and be like, really the content matter, the subject matter, the content of the conversation isn't as important as the very play of the conversation, the act of the conversation, the very, you're conversing as a way of play. It's not like, I'm conversing to like make this argument, and it's like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what you say, but you're just having fun with words, really. And having fun with the mind, because the way you speak, the language that you use, it creates meaning in your mind, and that creates seeing the world a different way. And so that is also the game that you're playing when you're conversing. You are conversing about ideas, and then you take on those ideas and see the world through those ideas. And that is also play, you're playing with perception. So I hope this video was valuable for you. And I hope this is a reminder to enjoy the simple things, and, sit down, have a cup of tea, just appreciate the taste. Like, one day, mate, you're going to be dead. You know what I mean? Like, one day you'll do anything to come back and just sit down and taste that tea. You know what I mean? So thanks for watching. Give this video a like and subscribe if it helped you out, because that helps me out a lot. And come join our online community, The Truth Playground, top link in the description. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.